Hi all. So this is part part two. So in this we'll see how to change or delete a tuple. We'll see different operators that can be used in a tuple, different inbuilt functions that can be used in manipulate this tuple. So first we'll see how to change or delete a tuple. So we have already mentioned that tuples are immutable. We cannot change the elements inside a tuple. So elements of a tuple cannot be changed once it is assigned. Once it has been assigned, we cannot change the values. But if the element is itself a mutable data type, like list, its nested item can be changed. That is, if we have a tuple and inside the tuple we have a list that is stored inside the tuple, we can change that list if because list is a mutable thing. So if you are storing a list inside a tuple, that list can be changed. Okay, we will see an example, then you will understand what is this. So I will use a tuple, my tuple equal to, I will use this example. So this is my tuple. Okay. This is my tuple, which contains this number of elements are there. So these are the elements. So if I try to access some element, my tuple of 1 means second, okay, my second element. So you will get 34. Now, if you try to change that second element, I'm trying to assign it my tuple of 1 equal to it's 34. I want to change it to 100 or 1000 or any value. So it will an error will occur. So this is error, type error. Tuple object does not support item assignment. So once it is assigned initially, we cannot modify this tuple value. So we cannot modify this tuple value. In the case of list, we can modify any elements. But in the case of tuple, we cannot modify. We can access those elements, but we cannot change it to a different value. But we have mentioned the case. So if this tuple contains a mutable object, so this is a mutable object. So this tuple contains a list. So this is mutable. If we want to modify the content of this list, it is possible. So in order to access the string, my tuple of this is actually my tuple of 2. So my tuple of 2 is sorry, it is not 2. We have it's the third, fourth element. So it is my tuple of 3. Okay, my tuple of 3. Then it is a list. Okay. Now, if I want to modify the content, you know how to access the element. So you can modify this content. If I want to modify this element, if I want to modify that 45, then what I have to do? 45 means it is 0 and this is 45 is 1. So I have to access using 1. So my tuple of A1 it is 45. Now if I want to change that element, what I have to do is I have to simply assign some value. I can change it to 1000. So that is possible. Now if you check my tuple, you can see that 45 has been changed to 1000. So this is the case. So if we have a tuple, we cannot modify the individual elements. But if that element itself is a mutable object, like in this case, we have a list which is mutable, we can change the list values. So in order to change, we can use this indexing method, nested indexing. Using this nested index, I have accessed a particular element. This 45 element has been accessed and I have changed to 45. Now my tuple has become this. So in this way, you can modify. Otherwise, you cannot modify any of these elements. And we have already seen this. My tuple of 1 cannot be modified. 1 is actually a tuple element and it is an integer element. It is not a mutable element. Integer is an immutable element. So we cannot modify it. Okay. So this is the example. We have already seen this example. Now, how to delete a tuple? So in this way, we can change values of that tuple. So So changing is possible only in the case if we have a mutable object inside a tuple. Now, how to delete a tuple? So if we want to delete some elements inside this tuple, since so if I want to delete my tuple of 1, if I want to delete, then I have to use del. Okay, I have to use del my tuple of 1. So if I give something like this, then the result will be error, typo error, because it doesn't support this deletion. So we cannot delete a particular element. So, but in the case of list, we can delete the element. So we cannot delete a particular element because it is a immutable thing. So tuple is an immutable thing. So we cannot use this del operator to delete the thing. But if you want to delete the whole tuple, it is possible. If I want to delete the whole tuple, you can use this del and you can simply delete. Now, if you check my tuple, it will show an error because my tuple is not defined at all. We have deleted the tuple as a whole. So all the elements, everything has been deleted using this del. But individually, you cannot delete a particular element. It will return an error like this. But you can simply delete my tuple, and if you check that my tuple, name error will occur because it has already been deleted. Nothing is there in the memory. Okay. So this is how deleting a tuple. So you can use this del keyword to delete this. Now, tuple operators. We have two types of operators, the two operators mainly concatenation plus and star. We have already seen the case of list also. Similarly, for tuple also you can use for concatenation. If you have a tuple 1 equal to, I will take this tuple itself. Tuple 1 equal to, I will use the same tuple. Then two, tuple 2 equal to apple, orange. So this is tuple 2. Now, if I want to perform concatenation, tuple 3 equal to, you can perform concatenation. You can concatenate these two tuples together using plus operator. That is concatenation. Tuple 2, you can do this operation. Now, if you tuple 3, it will contain apple and orange also. We have concatenated these two tuples together. We have seen in the list also, we have seen this concatenation operator. You can simply concatenate. So it will be added to the end of the list. Tuple 2 is added to the end of the list. So this is concatenation operation. Then we have another thing, asterisk operator. If you want, you can see this. So if we have some values like this, I will use the same thing. I have used this, three values are there. So this is tuple 3. Now, if I try to define a tuple 4 equal to tuple 3 star, I am simply multiplying it with 4. Okay. So if you check this tuple 4, now you can find that it is 4 times repeated. This tuple elements are repeated 4 times. That is this one, this is second, and this is third time, and this is fourth time. So if you use this asterisk operator, it will repeat that element. So it's a kind of repetition. We can repeat that element that number of times. 4 times we are asked to repeat these elements 4 number of times. So this can be done using this asterisk operator. So these plus and asterisk operators are there. So this is the example. I have shown this example. This is another example. We have used star 3. So 3 times the elements will be repeated. Okay. Then we have tuple methods. We have seen many list methods. Most of the list methods can be used here also. Similarly, we have tuple methods also. First one is count of x. So it will return the number of items that is equal to x. We will see that example. Then there is another method, index of x, which will return index of first item that is equal to x. So we will see some example. So I am creating a new tuple. My tuple equal to, I am storing apple. Okay, I'm storing this tuple, my apple. Well, simply apple. Now you can simply count this. So it is a method. So you should have a data object. You know that. My tuple dot. You can use index, or you'll first see count. So there's a counting. Count of x should be given. So I'll give count of p. So if I give count of p, so if I give my tuple dot count of p, then you will get 2. So it will return how many number of element p's are present in this tuple. So you can this count method can be used to count the number of particular element, count the value of count the number of times that particular element is there. Similarly, you can use index also. So if you are using index instead of count, if you are using index of p, it will return y. So it will return the first index. So we have two p's here. We have 2p in the apple. So this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2. So if we are giving index of p, it will return the first p, first index of first p. So index of first p is this one. So this will be 1. Okay. And you can simply count, you can check for other elements also. So if s, you will check for s. So you will check for s, whether s is present. So it will return 0 because there are no s in the thing. Okay. So these are two tuple methods, count and index. Then tuple operations. We have other tuple operations. So we have already seen this in operator. So if you want, if you have a tuple, my tuple apple, you can simply check. If you can simply check whether a is present in. So you can simply check whether a is present, a in my tuple. So this is it. So it will return true because A is present in this my tuple. So in operator, we have already seen the case of list. Same in operator can be used in the case of tuple also. Okay. Now, next thing is iterating through a tuple. If you want to iterate through a tuple, you can use for loop for name in. If I want to iterate through some names, Arun, Alan, and Salim. Okay. So if I want to iterate through this loop, iterate to this for loop. I just want to print what I am going to print is hello, and the corresponding name should be printed. Okay. So if I run this code, it will be printed like this hello. So each time it will iterate through this tuple. So first iteration for name in first iteration it will be 0. So name of that 0 will be printed. 0 it is Arun. Then it will be name will become 1. Then Alan will be printed. Hello, Alan will be printed. After that, hello, Salim will be printed. So in this way, you can iterate two tuples. So iteration is possible using this for loop. We have already seen the case of list also. Similarly, tuple in tuple also iteration is possible. So these are some of the built-in functions that are there in tuples. So all function is there. It returns true if all elements of the tuple are true. Then any is there. Return true if any element of the tuple is true. If the tuple is empty, then it will return false. Okay. Then length function, we have already seen this length function in the case of list. Similarly, here also we have, it will return the length or number of items in that tuple. Then max is there, it will return the largest item in the tuple. Min is there, which will return the smallest item in the tuple. Then sorted. So take elements in the tuple and return a new sorted list. You have to note that here it is a returning a list. It is not returning a tuple. So it does not sort the tuple itself. There won't be any change in the tuple. We will see that example. You will understand what you mean by this. So sort function, actually what it does is it will return a new sorted list. If you are giving a sorted list, if you are giving a unsorted tuple, it will sort it and return a list. Okay. Then sum will return the sum of all elements in the tuple. Then tuple, it converts an iterable list or string or set of dictionary to a tuple. So you can simply use tuple constructor. It's a built-in function. Okay, we will see some examples. Then you will understand what is this thing. Okay, well, I'll give some my tuple equal to, I'm giving some values 23, 34, 45, 12, 9, 26. Okay, so these are the tuple values. Zero should not be there. Or should not use the 0, 9. Instead, you can use 90 can be used. Okay, so this is my tuple. Now 23, 34, 45, 12, 90, and 26. Okay, this is my tuple. Now, if I want to find the sum, so these are all functions. So if this is not method, so this is, these are all functions. So if you want to find sum of my tuple, so you can use the sum of my tuple. Then you will get the value as. Or if you want to find maximum of this, maximum element, this maximum value of the element, max of my tuple, or min of my tuple. So these all things are possible. So these are some of the built-in functions that are there. Uh, then we have length. We have already seen this length. If you want, you can find the length of this tuple using alien. So you can see there are 6 elements in this. Then finally, if you want to use this sorted function, I'm sorting this. Okay, I'm trying to sort this tuple using the sorted function, sorted of my tuple. So this will return a list. You can see there's square bracket. It is not returning a tuple. So it is returning a list here. So if you are using a sorted of my tuple, because since tuples are immutable, so we cannot modify that tuple. So if you check that tuple, it is not changed at all. This is a tuple, even though it has sorted to a list like this 1223. If we check the original tuple, it has not changed anything. We cannot change the values inside that tuple. We can sort it, but it will be sorted and a list will be returned. This is actually a list. Instead of a tuple, it is a list. So the original tuple will remain the same itself. There won't be any change in the tuple. Okay. So these are some of the built-in functions. Then we will see what is tuple packing and unpacking. So this definition. So when we assign these values, this is known as tuple packing. So if you are assigning my tuple and we are giving some values, 3, 4.6 dog, then this is known as packing. Unpacking means we are assigning 3 variables A, B, C, and we are assigning the tuple value to these 3 variables. My tuple. So ABC equal to my tuple. If we give like this, then if we check A value, then this will be 3. Then second B value will be 4.6 and C value will be dog. Okay. So this is known as tuple packing and unpacking. So if you want to access the individual elements, it is possible to access the individual elements like this. So this is known as unpacking. So in this way, you can unpack the elements. So you'll see some example. So this is an example. We have a tuple A. A is the tuple, and we are storing three elements: Muhammad Salim, number, and a string is stored. CSC. Now unpacking. You can simply unpack like this: name, comma, rank, comma, department equal to A. There is no need for this parenthesis. Without parenthesis also you can use this. So I have used parenthesis. Without parenthesis also you can assign. So this is actually unpacking. Now if you print this thing, print name, comma, name. So what happens is the first value will be assigned to this name. Now, and the second value 235 will be assigned to rank, and CSE will be assigned to department. So if you run this program, you can see this. The value will be like this: name, Shahim, rank will be 235, and department will be 235. CSE. So in this way, you can do this packing. So this is known as packing, and this is unpacking. Unpacking. So the individual elements will be assigned some variables. So all these will be stand for these variable values. Okay, we'll see one more example. So this is another example. Here, if you see this, first here we will see this that there are three elements A, B, and C. But if you see this tuple, we have more number of elements. We have 45, then Arun, then we have one another floating number, there is another integer, there is a string, there is another integer. So, but we have used only three variables. Instead, we have used an asterisk symbol. We have already seen in the case of variable list, variable tuples. We have already mentioned in the case of variable tuples when we call functions. During function calls, if we are not giving all the variables, we can use variable tuples using star or asterisk. So what it does is, if we are giving something like this, if we are trying to unpack like this, what happens is this B is actually variable number of elements, and A is not variable and C is not variable. So what it does is the first value will be assigned to A, and the C is the last value. So 200 will be assigned to C. So rest of the values, so all these values, Arun, and all these four values will be assigned to B. So it is to store multiple variable tuples. We can use the star thing. And if you print like this, if you are trying to print A, B, and C, we will see how to print this. We will simply print A, B, C. Now again we are assigning like this. We are here assigning A, B, and here we have made star C or asterisk C. What happens is 45 will be assigned to A and Arun will be assigned to B. And the remaining variables, the remaining values of the tuple will be assigned to C. So you will run this program, then you will understand. So if we run this program and the first print C, it is A star B C. Then A will be B, and the second star B, we will get a list of elements. So all the elements will be stored in a list, and the list will be returned if you are using star B. And the C is the last value, that will be 200. Now, if you are printing like this, A, B, and star C, then the first element A will be 45, and second element B will be Arun, and the third C will be a list. It's a list, so it's a variable tuple. Okay, so if you are using this asterisk, in this way you can assign multiple values. So this is packing and unpacking. Then we will see, we'll compare tuple and list. So if we are when we use tuple, it is meant for heterogeneous data or different data types. It is not mandatory that you can use these principles. So usually we use this tuple for heterogeneous, different kinds of data. If we have different kinds of data, like we are storing string, we are floating number, integer, we are storing another list, then you go for tuple. If when we will use list when we have only homogeneous or similar data types. So if all the elements are integer, then you can go for this list. So it is not mandatory. You can use in any way. Then we will see some advantages of this tuple over list. So iterating through a tuple is faster than with list. Since it is immutable, iteration is very faster. Iteration is faster in the case of then tuples that contain immutable item elements can be used as a key for dictionary. So we will study dictionary in the next lecture. So there we have to give some keys. So if we are using this tuples, then these elements are immutable. So these can be used as keys to access the elements inside a dictionary. We will see this later. So if you have data that doesn't change, implementing it as tuple will guarantee that it remains right protected. So if you have some data that should not be changed at all, then you can simply assign it to a tuple. Then those values won't be changed inside the program. So it will be write protected. So in this way, it is advantages of a list. So if you are using a list, then anytime any program can change the values inside the list. But if you are using a tuple, those values are immutable. So those values won't be changed. Okay. So these are the references. Thank you.